I just want to point out that Another Man's Rhubarb is a great name for a band. So if you were looking for one, there it is.
I was.
Unfortunately, I already have my band name.
Oh, what is it?
My band name is Precarious Jam.
Oh.
Because it was going to be a triple entendre. Because we were going to be like, oh no, we're in a precarious jam. And then we were going to jump on stage, and we were going to be like, well, time to precariously jam. And then at our merch table, we were going to sell jars of precarious jam.
Well, you know what the episode's called now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney.
Could we dedicate a good portion of the podcast today to talking about how terrible canker sores are?
We can. I mean...
Because they're the worst. They are the ultimate kick when you're down. Because it's like, you know, your mouth is like, hey, I know you're stressed out. I know you're tired, you're not, getting much sleep, and you're really worried about shit, but how would you feel if we just, opened up a sore in your mouth?
Oh, sorry. Is that like when it looks like there's a little zit in your mouth?
It's that little white abscess.
Yeah.
And it just, you're always, jamming your tongue into it, and you're like, because it doesn't feel right, but it hurts when you do that, but you just can't fucking stop yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your mouth.
That's okay. I'm sorry about my mouth as well. It's got some of the most atrocious things.
It does. I'm gonna introduce.
I'm glad you agree with me.
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna argue this point. No. Everything is pure and fresh that comes out of your mouth. It's like the mouths of babes. It's innocent and pure and honest.
What?
I don't. We have a few things to talk about today. The first thing is obviously the greatest movie of all time is not Citizen Kane. That is the thing I'm doing on Renegade Cut right now. I'm putting that together. But no, that's not the best movie of all time. The best movie of all time, as everyone knows, was Independence Day.
I thought in a previous episode we established that it was Big Trouble in Little China.
No, we said it was Space Jam.
Oh yeah, Space Jam, which just happens to take place in the world of Big Trouble in Little China.
No, Space Jam was knocked off, much like Citizen Kane was recently knocked off, and Vertigo was on top of the Sight and Sound list. Independence Day was a big hit. It made over $800 million, and as we know, money equals good. So Independence Day is the greatest movie of all time. They did shoot that green shit at you, Will Smith, and I guess that scared him because he's not coming back for the sequel. He will not be welcoming anyone to Earth. At all.
Say it right.
No. I know what you're gonna say. He does not say Earth. I'm sorry. That's not only is that a myth, it's also a little racist. because I'm sorry, but I have watched that movie since seeing Earth as a meme. He says Earth really clearly, and I think someone just assumed because for really racist reasons that he must have said Earth. He didn't say Earth at all. He said Earth. And anyway, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he said. Maybe the person who was playing his estranged son, played by Jesse Usher, who in the new movie, will say Earth, but Will Smith did not.
I'm sorry. I did not know it was actually spelled Earth.
He said Earth. I swear.
I'm sorry. The education system in Canada owes me a big apology.
So, but anyway, Independence Day 2 is a thing. It's absolutely happening. Someone will be playing Will's son.
Probably Chris Pratt.
No, it's someone named Jesse Usher. I'm supposed to know who this is, but whatever. Jeff Goldblum, or Bloom, or whatever, is coming back to play his character, so that's neat. That's the casting news that we have so far. I do not know whether or not Bill Pullman is going to be playing like an 8-term president, and he's still president now. And people just really loved that speech. So they're like, fuck it, let's just keep electing him and screw the Constitution.
Yeah, the aliens aren't unrealistic, but changing the Constitution is just unthinkable.
I was really, really glad that the aliens ran on an OS that our Earth computers were capable of interacting with, like, you know, a really early version of OS X. It looked like, because of that smiley face that showed up.
Yeah. What I really appreciate about the alien shields is that if you fire missiles at them, they're instantly deflected and the missiles do nothing. But if you shoot your parachute into the alien ship, the shield doesn't work and it blinds them. So that's the best part about aliens.
Yeah.
I love this podcast is like back in time making all these really topical jokes about the old movie. All right, so there's a new one, guys.
Yeah, there's a new one. Oh gosh, hold on. I'm reading something. No.
You just handed a news bulletin?
Yes, I'm getting news in my ear right now. No, I was reading a thing and it said something about Brent Spiner because he played a role in the film. There is no kind of confirmation that he will be back. I think because he died in that movie. So I guess they're not gonna just have like the corpse of that scientist and have Brent Spiner do it. It's not like he's super busy these days.
It looks like Liam Hemsworth is going to be in it.
Yeah. The young
hot guy from the Hunger Games.
Yeah, the younger, frankly, arguably hotter Hemsworth is going to be in this movie. I don't think Chris Hemsworth is as good looking as his brother, but that's me.
I'd take either one, honestly.
I'm not sure I've ever really laid good eyes on Liam Hemsworth, so I'm just going to do a Google search of images right now, Liam Hemsworth, and
he's super hot.
I think Johnny's standards are so high that he wouldn't hit the lesser Hemsworth brother.
No. I mean, you know, like I'm not saying I'd kick him out of bed or anything like that. I'm just like I need a side-by-side comparison here of him and Chris, and luckily there's a photo of that.
Oh, I'll do Liam Hemsworth, but only after Chris Hemsworth does me. It'll be like a favor.
God.
I'm sorry, I gotta go Team Chris. I gotta go only if his hair is slightly shorter. I don't like the long, scraggly Chris Hemsworth hair.
Okay. But isn't it because he bulked up for Thor while Liam played like a starving kid in the Hunger Games? So I feel like the side-by-side photos that Google Images pulls up might not be representative.
No, I think his eyes are kinder.
Oh, okay.
That's important.
Wait, which one? Who has kinder eyes?
Chris Hemsworth, I think, has kinder eyes.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, if that's what you're going for,
right. You know, I want him to look at me and make me feel like a man.
We're so like ferociously, aggressively off topic. I can't even handle it.
Yeah, ID42, which is I guess what they're going to call it, is going to come out, and I don't know. I'm going to see it. I don't know if you guys are. There's no way I'm not going to. That's all there is.
It's Roland Emmerich, right? He's coming back.
I believe he's also back to do it. Yeah,
I
can't with him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's hit. I'm like, I've had enough. I mean, what was I watching? I was watching Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and they had a bunch of clips from 2012 in it, and I damn near had a seizure. I was like, no. So I've had enough.
White House Down was funny. I didn't think it wasn't a strong film, but it was.
What the fuck? I'm looking at Roland Emmerich's credits on IMDb right now, and it's like, yeah, he's slated as director in pre-production of Independence Day 2,
cool.
And then Stargate.
Yeah, he's remaking Stargate.
And then he's also announced as the director of Independence Day 3.
Well, they obviously greenlit it as a trilogy, a truncated trilogy anyway. So. Yeah, he has a lot of big projects coming up, mostly his old work.
He must make lots of money because his movies aren't any fucking good. Sorry. Godzilla sucked. Day After Tomorrow sucked.
I didn't bother with Day After Tomorrow.
2012 sucked.
He did make Universal Soldier, which I'm sorry guys, but that.
I like Stargate, and I have to admit that although, you know, the snob in me wants to hate Independence Day, I can. It's fun. It's a fun view of aliens destroying us and everything we know and love being obliterated, and then we win one battle and it's okay.
I mean, one alien invasion movie is as good as the next. I thought the reason the first Independence Day was so fun is because Will Smith is really charismatic and Jeff Goldblum is really fun, and just like the people in it. I don't know that a sequel will necessarily bring any of that back. It'll just be aliens and explosions, right?
You know, it's kind of weird because, you know, when you look at alien invasion movies and movies about aliens secretly among us, you have to look at like the politics of the time, because I mean, you can look at like things like the day the Earth stood still and like nuclear ambition and all that stuff going on, and
the thing in the Cold War.
Yeah, or War of the Worlds. I mean certainly that's a very old story, but the semi-recent one definitely had some inspiration towards, you know, recent terrorist attacks, since it was made a few years after that. But when you look at Independence Day, it was made in the 90s during a time in America of sort of relative peace, so it's like the fun end of the world movie.
Yeah.
What, isn't Mars Attacks the fun end of the world movie?
Mars Attacks is the subpar fun end of the world movie. I remember seeing that and thinking this was the first Tim Burton movie I didn't like.
Yeah.
Not the best.
A post 9/11 Independence Day probably won't be as fun. If they try to make it the post 9/11 Independence Day,
of
and
course
make
they're
it
gonna make it the post 9/11 Independence Day.
No, they could have it take place a day after Independence. Well, I guess they couldn't because, like I said, a strange son is all grown up. Okay, fine. But what I'm trying to say is they don't have to make it dark. They could just make it goofy.
Jeff Goldblum shows up and everybody's like, "Wow, yesterday really did something to you."
Jeff Goldblum is timeless. Okay. Any other thoughts on Independence Day 2 before we move on to Johnny's topic?
No.
Okay.
Fuck 'em.
All right. I'm seeing it. I don't care. Oh, one more thing. Independence Day 2 is set for a release on June 24th, 2016. So the week before Independence Day weekend for some reason. I don't know. Whatever. That's it. I guess all I got. Johnny, nice. You want to tell us about VR and the video games?
I do. So you guys know that I'm into these things called computers, right?
Kind of.
Are those the things with you push the buttons and the numbers come up and then that?
Yeah, the ones and zeros.
Yeah,
or,
those guys.
Or zeros and ones, depending on like how they're arranged.
I saw one in War Games once.
Yeah, those. Something very much like that, only more the size of a building as opposed to, you know, one of those newfangled small ones that people carry around in their hands. Well,
I'll only buy one if it comes with Matthew Broderick. But
one of the biggest like pieces of news basically that's broken over the last couple of years is in VR tech. Not that long ago. Before the turn of, or after the turn of the century, excuse me, a company named Oculus managed to kickstart a virtual reality helmet, which was like, I mean, everybody was kind of like, whoa, that's weird, like, virtual reality, isn't that like right out of 1996? And the guy responsible for the company, basically was trying to say that, yeah, you know, I mean, technology has certainly advanced to a point in time where we can actually viably have options for VR interfaces on computer these days. And he started this Kickstarter to prove it. And it took off like crazy. So much so, you know, everybody probably who's listening to this podcast knows it, but like, Oculus wound up selling their company to, everybody's still on board, of course, but they sold to Facebook for $4 billion. Like, $1 billion. This is a company that hasn't even made a product yet. There hasn't been a consumer available version of what they're designing at the moment. And they have attracted talent from just about every corner of the industry. You know, like Jason Rubin, who used to run THQ Games, is in an internal development. Michael Abrash, who used to work at Valve, in their VR department, is working for them now. Fucking John Carmack of id Software fame is working as a designer right now at, you know, like they've even hired the guys responsible for designing the Xbox 360 controller. Like, there are so many people that this company attracted, and everybody is so super excited about VR. And for the past couple of years, everybody's been like, okay, well, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And, you know, one of my concerns, one of the strange things that I was concerned about was other companies being left off the bandwagon. You know, like, I was wondering, because Sony announced not that long ago, too, that they were in the race, that they've got a VR helmet that's going to be working with the PS4, called the Project Morpheus is its name right now. I don't know if it's going to go to market under that name. And then, like, there's a bunch of other guys who are just sort of like, you know, doing fucked up shit in their own garages with cardboard boxes and phones. There was this, like, there was this headset that you could clip your iPad into. That like, and like an app that turned the iPad into a VR helmet, and it just, like, it looked like the goofiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. 'Cause it was just this, like, lump of plastic that you just, like, you know, wore in public, and their promo shots were all these people sitting on, like, bus stops or, like, leaning up against doorways with these giant iPads just, like, inches from their faces. Of course, yeah, it's gonna look goofy, but these past couple of days, this past week, GDC has been going on, the Game Developers Conference, and everybody more or less is kind of saying that the buzz at GDC was VR. Because now, Valve has entered the game. Now, previously, everybody knew that Valve had, like, a weird kind of hardware department that was, like, I don't know, the 13th and a half floor in being John Malkovich. It was like you had to, like, go, you know, a certain route through the building at a certain time of day to get to their hardware labs. And people who had been aware of Valve's VR were like, yeah, it's awesome. But Valve was always like, nah, I mean, you know, like, no, we're not gonna. I mean, why? No point. No. You know, so much so that, like, they let Oculus staff in to look at their VR and be like, yeah, this is what we're doing, so, I mean, you know, cool, whatever. And like I said, Michael Abrash, who used to work in Valve's VR department, works at Oculus now. So everybody was just kind of like, oh, I guess, you know, like, Valve tinkered around, but that's it. Well, fuck no, apparently. They've partnered with HTC and are releasing a Steam VR helmet called the Vive, and now I'm confused. Because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what to do. I took it for granted. I was really super excited about the Rift coming out, the consumer version. I was gonna buy a development kit too, but then, like, I read a letter that Lucky Palmer or Palmer Lucky, I can never remember the right order his name. Palmer Lucky. So I read a letter that Palmer Lucky wrote, and he's like, if you're not going to code for a VR helmet, then don't get the DK2, because it's not what I want. It's not the experience I want you to have. And I was like, did you actually write a letter that said, don't buy my shit because it's not as good as I want it to be? Okay, Mr. Lucky. So I didn't get it. But now, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you know, do I stick it out and wait for the Oculus Rift? Because Valve has said that their helmet's gonna be out in like, November. They're gonna have it at the end of this year. They're like, yeah, it's coming in November. Well, and all the things I'm reading on it are like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, to me, from all the impressions I read, the big difference between are we calling it the Vive or is it the Vive? How are you supposed to pronounce that?
I guess Vive, because it looks like Vive VR or something like that.
The thing everyone's saying is...
just going to call it Steam VR. I mean, nobody's going to be like, yeah, the HTC Vive.
Yeah. But apparently it gets rid of the problems with motion sickness and nausea that some people were having with the Oculus Rift. So that might be the difference.
And this is the thing, like, it apparently it consistently renders at, like, 90 frames a second. People are saying it's even got, like, it comes as a unified, like, experience. Okay, so for example, all right, let's say that the Oculus Rift, you buy it, as of now, you get a helmet and like a camera that mounts on your monitor or wherever. They're even saying Oculus is like, yeah, it's a sit-down experience. And then there are all these other companies that are experimenting with interfaces. Valve bought another Kickstarter company called Nimble, which works very similarly to, they were designing a system that works really similarly to Kinect tracking, but specializes in like digital recognition software, as in like actual fingers. Their demo reels are fucking amazing because guys are just like using their hands. There are no gloves, no controls, just this like weird camera bar, and people are like tying knots in VR and crap like that, right? But it's still unstandardized because when you buy an Oculus Rift headset, you don't know what kind of controls somebody is getting, right? Apparently the Steam VR is going to come with a helmet, a couple of hand controllers that are going to be wireless, as well as like these laser-guided base stations that you can set up in a space as wide as like 15 by 15, but apparently goes as small as, this is their phrasing, 2 yoga mats. And the base stations actually track the locations of the wireless controllers and the location of your helmet. So you can like walk around in the Steam VR. Like you can take steps and like lean down and look at shit. It's not a sit-down experience.
All right. Well, here's what I care about. And it's the same thing I care about with all, piece of hardware. What are the games? Like what am I, how do I put this? What am I playing this with?
There's going to be a lot of like tech demos, indie games, and like first person like conversions of things. I don't think you're going to see like, the next big Call of Duty or whatever in fully immersive 3D.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, when everyone said, "Oh, look, it's the oh shit, I can't even remember what it's called. The stupid motion thing on the Xbox 360.
The Kinect?
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot what it was called because that's how stupid and pointless it was.
Yeah.
The Kinect, everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be a thing." Wasn't that Molyneux who said that? Of course it was. So,
yeah, for Fable the Journey, he made a Kinect game.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, this is."
Wasn't he doing? Was he the one that was doing that kid program too?
Yeah.
Paul or fucking David or Norman or whatever it was. Or
I do remember that he made like 2.
Engelbert.
But no, it's what I mean. It's like everyone said, "Oh, this is a new way to play video games." Okay, what are the games like? And then it was a bunch of dance games and a bunch of shit. So what I mean VR sounds awesome. I think we all watched Virtuosity and marveled in what could be in terms of video games. That movie had everything. It had Denzel Washington as a future cop, and it had Russell Crowe's butt. But the thing is, we've been waiting for VR this whole time. It's like, okay, here's VR. It's like, neat. What are the games for it? And I don't know well, maybe Johnny. What can I actually play on these things?
Right now, some of the biggest hits apparently are piloting games, like Elite Dangerous, which is an online space flight game where you sit in a cockpit and you fly around the universe. Is apparently one of the best, most like immersive experiences of at least the Rift now, because there's no, people have their hands on the development kit of the Rift, and people are saying that, yeah, Elite Dangerous. Other games too, like Among the Sleep, which was a horror survival game where you play as like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, is like Rift enabled.
I played that.
There's apparently a couple of lines of code that you can like put into a configuration file in Alien Isolation to make it VR if you want to scare yourself to death. And like moreover than that, people are actually making games. I know that there's games specifically made for, because Among the Sleep and Alien Isolation you can just play. Among the Sleep is officially enabled. Alien Isolation you have to tweak. Elite Dangerous too. But they were all kind of made with the Rift tacked on, where they're like, oh my god, we can use this. But there are games that are being made specifically for it. That guy that got run out of Microsoft for making an insensitive comment about being online all the time, I can't recall his name right now.
Hashtag deal with it?
Yeah. He's actually got a studio. He's running a game studio right now with a bunch of Medal of Honor, back when Medal of Honor was good, not like Medal of Honor, Warface, Fighter, Door Kicker. And they're making something that looks really impressive that takes place in space, where like a space station like kind of breaks up, and you have to go from like room to room and collect oxygen or, possibly suffocate. And there's a guy who makes Studio Ghibli demos where he renders scenes from famous Studio Ghibli movies like Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro and things like that. And maybe they aren't necessarily games, but again, they're just sort of like weird VR experiences. Like, people are messing around with the tech right now, which says to me that we're probably going to see more for it. Like, when the Kinect came out, it was like, we have a Kinect! And, we didn't get any... Microsoft is kind of against this whole, okay, we'll download this weird thing for the Kinect. It's cool. But Oculus has been all over that. They're like, yeah, make something weird. Put it up on the internet. Download it. There's one where you can, wander around the inside of a garage and stare at, a life-size Optimus Prime.
Oh my god, I have to play that.
There's a VR one where you can wander around the Enterprise. There's one where they put you in the cockpit of an X-wing during the Battle of Yavin from Return of the Jedi, right. And it's people are just messing around with it, and you can just download these things off the internet, which to me says that that's just the first step. That people are fucking around with it. We are going to start seeing games. Oculus has been demoing this game called Super Hot. They've also got
starring Liam Hemsworth.
Starring, Chris Hemsworth. Thank you.
Oh
very
my
much.
God, Johnny, come on, get on the right team. Team Liam.
Of course, right, yeah. Don't you tell me how to think, son. I know who I want to hug at the end of the day. But yeah, so there are games that are being made for it, and this is one of the interesting things. Is the reason why it's not out right now, and the guys at Oculus have talked about this, is that they know they need to launch the platform with games. Because if they just say, oh look, it's a helmet, then yeah, people are getting another Kinect, where it's you can point. Look at that, you can point at stuff. So they've got Jason Rubin, I mentioned, who was the guy who was trying to pull THQ out of the hole that it had managed to dig itself in the past couple of years. Who made some of the best decisions that THQ had done, is heading up their in-house development right now. Oculus has game studios, and I mean, you just know one of the demos that Valve ran at GDC this year was Portal themed. And everybody was like, oh my god, Portal 3! And they were like, no, we were just having fun with some company assets.
If Portal 3 or Half-Life 3 are Vive exclusive, it's fucking game over, son.
This is the thing, is that I don't trust that they will be. I mean,
they would never do that. But.
No, they recognize that their success has been brought to them because of, platform openness. I don't think that they would bite that hand Unless somebody else sat in the chair and was like, what does this do? And hit the wrong button, nobody's gonna do that on purpose there right now.
Even heel turn.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But I mean, as somebody who's excited for this tech, I'm kinda I've been purposely sort of biting my tongue and putting my wallet away in a safe to wait for the commercial versions to come out here. I'm a little torn. I don't know what to do.
I mean, excited for the tech is one thing, but I see a lot of people saying, oh man, VR is the future. It's here. All other video games will be eradicated by morning.
I know, it's stupid, because it's free to play. Everything's going to be free to play from now on. Yervat Surly, the guy in charge of Crytek, he was like, oh my god, everything is free to play now. And they're doing great, so...
It's shit, terrestrial radio still exists, right?
I know, so do books.
What?
It's actually...
Oh my god, oral history is so done, man. Nobody's gonna tell anybody's stories ever again. You can just hand someone a piece of paper and that shit's written on it, yo!
The weird thing about people trying to like reinvent the controller, like a hands-free controller like Kinect or the motion controller with the Wii and the power pad thing back on the NES where you had to like run on it and all manner of like weird Power Glove stuff. People keep trying to make the controller more than moving your thumbs around, and every single time it's either a brief fad and that goes away, or it amounts to nothing. And I'm not saying that VR will be nothing, but I am saying that I guess, you know, and I guess this is me being just a tiny bit cynical, but I'm like, show me the games, and I don't mean demos. I'm such a Trek nerd that I would love to walk around the Enterprise, I guess, but I don't. But until they actually have like really good, well-reviewed games, it's not something I can even consider buying. I can't buy it just to walk around the Enterprise. As cool as that sounds.
I mean, the thing about the controllers they're almost perfect, right? There's no need to improve on them because they work so well for what they're supposed to do.
You just need two thumbs. That's it.
Yeah, but the VR thing, I don't think of it as like an alternate control method. It's kind of an immersion tool. So it's like, yes, it'd be cool if you got some kind of special VR games that took advantage of it really well. But also, I would just love to play like Skyrim in VR. Like, the game is already great, but it would just cool to feel more like you were there. You know what I'm saying?
That is chiefly, you know, like Ben Kuchera, who writes for Polygon, and like people are going to be like, "Ooh, he said the name."
Oh yeah. It's so controversial. Only like 5,000 nerds even know who you're talking about.
Yeah, right. But you know, 4,000 of them are pissed off at him. But he wrote this article. He wrote this really interesting article about how VR gave him back his alone time. But now he's a breeder. He's got like 2 or 3 kids or something like that. You know?
We're just talking shit about a human being now.
I'm not making. That's not a moral judgment. That's not a statement of the integrity of his character. I'm just saying, dude's got a few kids. You know.
It even works.
And yes, it does. Now we have a new title for the cast this episode.
I don't know if I can get that through.
Well, you know, let's talk about boats, and then we can work it in as, you know, seaman work. No. All right. So anyways, he says that the best thing that the Rift has done for him is to give him back a little bit of solitude. Like, even one of his favorite things to do, apparently, is there's an app that you can get for the Oculus Rift that sets up an empty movie theater. And, you know, like, you can choose different themes. It'll be, like, just a classic movie theater. You can choose, like, a movie theater on the moon. Or, like, this giant screen that, like, rises out of the oceans like some elder god or something like that. And you can just put, like, a DVD or a Blu-ray in the drive or, you know, like, watch a DivX file or something like that. And it will just play on the screen. And you put some headphones on, you slap your goggles on, and for, like, 90 minutes you are alone while sitting on your couch in the living room. You know? That's kind of cool that you can just be, like... There's even, like, there's a meditation program for the Rift right now where, like, you can pick, like, I don't know, like, one of a dozen spots and it just, like, slaps you down somewhere. There's, Sir Richard Attenborough's company is making a documentary about Borneo with this special camera rig that they've engineered to capture, like, all these lines of sight. So when you watch this movie, you can literally, like, look around in Borneo, you know, and that immersion quality, that just like, oh, hey, you know what, you're not in your apartment anymore. You're fucking halfway around the world in a jungle. Watch out for that tree.
So, I mean,
which is a really dated reference, and if anybody gets that, write it in the comments below.
Is George of the Jungle that old?
George of the Jungle, I think so. Yeah.
Not if you count the Brendan Fraser movie.
No, but did anybody see that?
I have
you
not.
Show me somebody who saw that.
I have seen that.
Oh my God! Awesome.
Sorry.
You know, about VR movies, you know, there's nothing like watching Agnes Varda's great French film Cleo from 5 to 7 on the moon.
Why not?
That's the way to watch it.
If you could watch a movie on the moon, wouldn't you?
Maybe, but I don't know if I'm ready to buy a headset for it. Maybe part of this is, alright, well, Johnny, tell me one more thing before we move on to our third topic. How much does the Oculus Rift apparently cost?
Well, these are the things, right? The development kit to the DK2, which is the closest thing to the commercial version, pardon me, of the Oculus Rift, costs around $200.
Okay. But that's the demo stuff. Like, what do they?
No, it's not the demo stuff. That's the thing, is that it's like the DK2 is basically designed around people who want to start making. I'm sorry, it wasn't $200. That was the DK1. The DK2 was $350.
Oh, jeez.
But this was before they got bought by Facebook too.
Okay.
So before they had a huge capital injection, so nobody really knows, and everybody's like really sketchy about what they're saying about pricing. Nobody said anything. Like when asked about pricing, Sony about Project Morpheus is like, oh well, you know, we haven't really focused on pricing during the development of this. We're just really excited about the tech, and Oculus is really well, you know, it's not ready yet, but I mean it's gonna be ready soon, and when it's ready, we'll talk readiness. And even Valve, which is like, fuck it, it's coming out in November. Everybody's like, holy shit, this is the most elaborate VR setup I've ever seen. How much is it going to cost? They're like, I don't know.
Look, first of all, that's bullshit, because every design of any hardware has price in mind based on just on, are we going to make money off the hardware, or are we going to make money off of the software and take a loss on the hardware?
But nobody wants to announce first.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to pull the ripcord and let the shoot go.
What I'm trying to say is this going to be like buying a Wii U, or is this going to be like buying an Xbox One at launch? I mean, I'm not saying, oh, if it's only $250, I'm totally buying one tomorrow. I'm just saying that it's a possibility down the road that I might. But if it's this giant extravagance and not something that we can all just kind of buy with a paycheck, it's not. I mean, I'm still working on Tales of Grace's F. I don't have time for VR when I'm still, like, pressing buttons like a...
It's been like 3 years, Leon.
I stopped playing it and played other things.
I know, it's just funny.
Good things, too. Just Cause 2. I haven't played Tales of Grace's F, but, I mean, if you made me play Tales of Grace's F, and then midway through you were like, hey, do you want to play Just Cause 2? I'd be like, fuck yeah.
All right.
But I don't know. I mean, you know, like maybe it's going to cost the amount that, like, I mean, presumably the Rift is going to be cheaper than the Steam VR, because the Steam VR you get the controllers, you get the base stations, you get the helmet, whereas like Oculus VR is like, congratulations, put this on your face and put this on your monitor. You know, so there's going to be a difference in price, but yeah, everybody's talking about VR breaking the mainstream, and I think that the biggest hurdle that we're going to come across if VR is going to break the mainstream, like you say, Leon, we're going to have to price it at a point where people who are intrigued but not committed to the idea can go, well, yeah, okay. And that is going to be the most difficult thing. Because buying a new console, you know, the PS4 drops, the Xbone drops, whatever you want to call it, you know, they show up. People know that what kind of experience they're going to get out of that. They're going to be like, oh, this is exactly like the last one that I got, only better.
Right.
So
you buy a console and you know you have at least 6 years worth of a steady stream of games coming out for it.
Yeah, precisely. But, you know, the VR needs to be priced at an enticing point so that people who are only passingly interested would consider the possibility of spending the money to pick one up. And if that goes above, like, $400, even $400, I'm totally stretching it. You were gonna lose a lot of idly interested parties.
I'm gonna have to wait for the holodeck. That's basically that's the only thing that can really get me to pay $400 for a piece of hardware.
Yeah, precisely. So
no.
I mean, I'm excited. You know, I mean, in case you haven't gleaned that by now. But I don't know what I want to get. I mean, you know, like I've been waiting for Oculus to announce a release date, but like Steam's on it now, and I'm just kind of like,
you can do it the way I do with consoles, and that's just wait until you see wait till you see the software, and that to me that will always be a little bit more important than the hardware.
Well, I've already seen a lot of stuff come out for the Oculus Rift or with Oculus Rift support.
Yeah.
Like Star Citizen, my baby, is going to come with Oculus support. So I was so keen on that. I was ready to go. What I really want to know is whether or not whether the Steam VR is going to be a specialized experience where it's like, oh, for Steam VR, or if it's going to be cross-compatible with programs that are Oculus Rift capable. Because it would be a shame if I got taken in by all the tech of Steam VR, provided that it wasn't terribly expensive, and then, you know, the standard, like the HD DVD versus Blu-ray debate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anything we want to say more about this before we get on to our third and final topic?
Isn't it crazy how we're, like, living in the future and, like, people are inventing virtual motherfucking reality and we're, like, sitting here like, man, if only it was $50 cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like we were watching fucking, like, some cyberpunk shit or some Star Wars and Luke's like, I don't know, that lightsaber's pretty pricey. I don't know. Might just hit him with a rock. Fuck it.
Look, I love Star Wars like nobody's business, but if I walked into a store and they said, this is an actual lightsaber, it will literally cut through a wall and someo's arm and aliens and all kinds of things, but it's $400, I'd say, no, I'm sorry, but I have knives, and it's just not a practical purpose.
I want to see that.
You are a stronger man than I, Leon. You are a man of tougher metal than I.
I want to see a thread.
I know, I recognize that, but for a $400 fully functional lightsaber, I would lose my shit. I would pull a tooth in the fucking store and give it to that man.
I would wait for the price cut, or just get like the smaller one. There's always going to be the lightsaber slim that comes out like a year later that costs $50 less.
It's like a pen light.
Right. Yeah, whatever. So long as it makes the sound, that's all I care about. I mean, it's not like I'm going to walk around hitting people with it.
I'm a terrible whore. I mean, I got so many peripherals, it's fucking insane.
You know, buying a lightsaber, I mean, the practicality of that, not just, you not only have to buy the lightsaber for $400, but you'd also have to, like, get licensed to carry it around, and the processing fees and paperwork you'd actually have to go to, just like a gun. I mean, don't you have to, like...
Do lightsabers fall into the Second Amendment?
I feel like there would be, like, you know what it would be? If someone invented a lightsaber tomorrow and started selling them and they totally worked exactly like in the movies, it would just be another case of the law having a hard time catching up to technology.
Like those 3D printed guns that people can make?
like so many things where Congress doesn't entirely know how the technology works and they're a little bit behind the times. If you said
Freedom Act, y'all.
Yeah. Okay, last thing, Austin, you found a thing that I didn't even know was happening.
Oh, geez, we're running out of time.
We have like 10 minutes.
How'd this happen? Oh, no, Leon, of course, the most important story of the day. I dropped this into the chat as a joke, but...
No, not that. Okay.
I know, I want to talk about it, though. Not really. The Chicago Bears traded Brandon Marshall to the Jets. Why? What's the point? Who is Cutler going to throw to now? Why are the Bears even a team anymore? This is fucking nonsense. Never mind, guys. Sorry. Real story.
Okay.
They're bringing...
Wait. So Brendan Cutler is and let me know if I'm pronouncing this right.
Brandon Cutler.
Receiver?
Oh, Johnny. You're the best. We should talk about hockey sometime.
It's like the part of the phone that you hear into.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of hockey, the fucking Sabres are already eliminated. Congratulations.
Oh my God, I had so much writing on that too.
All the teams
I talk about.
All the teams I'd cheer for are terrible. No, the real story is they're bringing back.
Yeah, especially Team Liam.
Fuck. I did. I got fucking dogpiled there.
No, I'm on Team Liam too.
No, but like on Twitter and stuff, Leon, you tweeted that we're talking about Chris versus Liam, and everyone who responded, you said Chris.
Yeah, look, I'm friends with a lot of people who responded, but no, I'm sorry, I have to say I'm still on Team Liam. But anyway, no, anyway, there's a thing. Go ahead.
It's just you and me, Leon.
Okay.
Oh, how do you guys feel about Don Bluth? I keep trying to get into this.
I love some of his movies and not others. That's how I feel about Don.
Nuance!
For a brief moment in my life, I truly believed that all dogs go to heaven before I realized that we live in a godless world where the souls of animals and man alike are only condemned to the eternal void, to decay forever only as lasting memories that permutate and change day by day in the twisted and distracted minds of the living.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bible's super unclear on that. Or, everything you just said.
But the Pope said that dogs go to heaven this year, so...
No, that was actually a mistake in translation. No, I'm actually not even joking. That's not the joke. Like a day later, it was explained that that's not what he said.
Yeah, but Leon,
yeah.
If truly God speaks through the Pope, don't you think he'd keep an eye on the people who are translating his shit?
Look, God has,
or does God only speak Italian?
God has better things to do. He's too busy, making sure, a butterfly lands on his head.
He has too many things to do that he can't pay attention to the one guy he has ordained to be his earthly voice. To just let that fucker run off of the mouth whatever the fuck he wants to say and doesn't pay shit attention to it?
He is way too busy binge-watching House of Cards Season 3 right now.
Don't spoil it. I'm only on episode 6.
I don't watch that show at all. I hate it. But anyway.
So good.
Whatever. Anyway, talk about the thing, Austin. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. So, Don Bluth. A lot of people confuse his movies for Disney, but he made a bunch of animated movies that weren't Disney. Some of them were good. Most of them were not. One of them that was pretty good was The Secret of NIMH.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's awesome is what it is. If you say Secret of NIMH 2, I'm going to strangle the fuck out of you.
No, I was going to say I prefer Land Before Time and
All right, that's cool.
American Tail.
Yeah.
Anyway, Secret of NIMH is a movie
Bible Goes West or the original?
I like both of them.
I actually think they're both pretty good.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether or not which one of you, preferred.
All right. Oh my God, we have to talk about this. We have 3 minutes.
Okay, so MGM they just acquired the rights to the original novel, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH, about super intelligent rats, and they're making another movie out of it. Don Bluth did the one that's most famous, but there's another one coming up. The writer is the guy who did the Ice Age movies,
because why not?
Oh.
Aww.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about this movie just for that alone. I
don't like Ice Age?
I did not like Ice Age at all.
I like the first one.
I watched it, and it made me unhappy. Then again, now you know what? It's not even the movie's fault. I had to show that to some of my students because I was substituting that day, and they left me Ice Age. Didn't we just talk about this a week ago?
Yeah, they got really mad when you tried to show them a better movie.
Right, so I had to show them Ice Age, and I was like, fuck this shit. But
should have been the never-ending story, man. Should have been the never-ending story.
Exactly.
But I guess the big news, besides the fact that they're bringing back NIMH, is that it's going to be, quote, CGI-centric with live action, which...
You know what that means, right? That means baby geniuses.
Does that mean it's like Avatar, where it's half animation and half live action, or does that mean
it means cats and dogs to the Revenge of Kitty Galore is what it means.
So it's not going to be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it's a live action movie with a few computer generated characters, or
I thought it was going to be, yeah. I was picturing Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where the humans are live action, but all the animals are CG.
Well, if they just train a couple mice. Just train a couple mice.
Just glue a little sword to a rat's hand.
Right.
Starve them for a couple of days, and then have them fight it out and film that.
Just do this. Just shock them when you need them to move. And, God, this just turned really dark. I'm sorry.
Some animals were harmed in the making of this motion picture, but no important cute ones.
I mean, we've bungled some topics in the past, but this is just...
So anyway, are you guys looking forward to this movie? I'll get us back on track.
Good save, Leon.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the original. I loved The Secret of NIMH. It's one of those movies that even when I would watch it again as an adult and over the years, I kind of always get new things from it. Because as a kid, it was sort of like, oh, hey, animated. And it terrified me. It scared the shit out of me, kind of like the Dark Crystal did. Oh, puppets! But, you know, like, watching it again as I got older and getting, like, the National Institute of Mental Health references and, like, just, you know, like, there's some, I feel like there's some biblical allegories in there about the price of knowledge, and I don't know, it's a deep movie. There's depth to it. It's weird because I've never read the book, but it's always kind of been something that I'm like, fuck, I should read that.
I like the book. I think compared to the story we started with, which was Independence Day, I'm much more interested in a NIMH reboot, but, you know.
You've seen the Don Bluth original?
Yeah.
Have we've all seen the Don Bluth original?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely. It's my favorite Don Bluth movie, even though there were a few other good ones before he went over a cliff.
What about Land Before Time, man?
Yeah,
3 stars.
That was a good one.
I just yell quotes from it.
No love for Rockadoodle?
No.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I don't really have any love for Rockadoodle either. Sorry.
It's
all
okay.
Right. Anything you guys want to say before you go? I gotta roll out shortly and finish this episode. Not this episode. The thing I'm doing that pays me money.
The important show.
Yeah. Oh, funny thing. That like Patreon discussion from last week. I was hoping it would make me more money. My Patreon has gone down since last week. So, if anything, Word Funk has hurt my chances of this.
I would agree with that, Leon, if I was actually convinced that anybody really listened to Word Funk.
Oh, I don't know. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
The PS Plus games are really great this month. You should play Valiant Hearts. Huh?
Dishonored.
Dishonored is a great game. It's not one of the PS Plus games.
I thought it was this month. Sorry.
Nope. It's Ollie Ollie 2 and Counter Spy and something else. They're good. So that's stuff you should be playing. That's what I'm playing.
All right. John, anything you want to say before we go?
I finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy this week.
Cool.
So good, right?
It was really good, but they didn't really guard much of, like, you know, it was, I don't know, you know, I feel like the name kind of fell short.
You're like, they guarded a solar system at best.
You know, maybe 2 and an asteroid belt and, you know, like, mostly themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really like, Guardians pretty much us, but I guess you guys can come along.
Well, at the end of the movie, when the bad guy names them the Guardians of the Galaxy, he does so like disparagingly or like sarcastically. So yeah. it only makes sense if as a joke. Speaking of movies that that we've just seen, Johnny, you mentioned The Dark Crystal. I finally watched The Dark Crystal a few days ago.
Can you see how a child would find that terrifying?
I do. Also, I fucking hated it. It sucked. Oh my god. Oh my god, did that suck. I was watching it and my wife says, look, it was just practice for Labyrinth. And I'm like, yeah, I can see it as that. It's like a tech demo for Labyrinth. That's what it felt like to me.
I could stand by that. I would let you get away with saying that on the internet with no physical harmful repercussions occurring to you.
Yeah, you're gonna rustle some jimmies, Leon.